Look, I have been running arena commentary for 347 cycles. 347. I have seen champions from every corner of the galaxy step into the sand pits of valor. I have watched the mighty Gorathian crushers pulverize opponents with 6 arms of pure muscle. I have witnessed the lightning-quick reflexes of the Velden swarm dancers. I have even commentated on that one time a Plutonian hive mind decided to compete, which, let me tell you, was as confusing as it sounds. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day a human walked into my arena. My name is Klaxon. Just Klaxon. No fancy titles, no ceremonial designations. I am a Vortelian, which means I have 4 eyes, 2 mouths, and exactly 0 patience for nonsense. And humans? Oh, they are made entirely of nonsense wrapped in a skin suit that bruises if you look at it wrong. The day Marcus Trent registered for the Tournament of Ascension, every single betting pool on Station Omega went absolutely silent. Then they exploded with laughter. Then the laughter turned nervous. Then things got interesting. Let me paint you a picture of this absolute maniac. Marcus Trent stood at roughly 6 feet tall, which for humans is apparently average, but for arena standards is laughably small. He weighed maybe 200 pounds soaking wet. He had dark hair that stuck up in odd directions like he had just rolled out of a sleeping pod, brown eyes that seemed perpetually annoyed, and a jawline that suggested his ancestors spent a lot of time chewing on rocks. When he approached my registration desk, I was in the middle of processing a Krellian battle titan. You know, the kind of competitor that makes the ground shake when they walk? The kind that requires 3 separate insurance policies just to let them near the arena? Marcus waited, patiently, hands in his pockets, while this 7-ton mountain of scales and rage signed his forms. Next I called out, not even looking up. Yeah, hi, his voice was casual, too casual, like he was ordering food, not signing up for potential dismemberment. I am here for the tournament. I looked up. All 4 eyes. The tournament? That is what I said. The Tournament of Ascension? The one where people die. People die everywhere, he said with a shrug. An actual shrug. At least here I get paid for it. I blinked. Twice per eye. 8 total blinks of pure disbelief. You understand the mortality rate is 63%. So you are saying I have a 37% chance of winning? I have had worse odds. This was either the bravest creature I had ever met, or the dumbest. Spoiler alert, it was somehow both. Species? I asked, pulling up the registration forms. Human. I stopped typing. Human? From Earth? That is where most humans come from, yeah. Are you aware that humans have never won this tournament? Are you aware that humans have, in fact, never made it past the preliminary rounds? Are you aware that your species has the structural integrity of a damp tissue? Marcus leaned on my desk. He actually leaned on my official registration desk like we were old friends discussing weekend plans. You know what I am aware of? That you talk a lot. Is there a form, or do I need to listen to more fun facts about my inadequacy? Oh. I liked him immediately. That does not mean I thought he would survive. But I liked him. Form 379-A, I said, sliding the datapad across. Fill it out. Try not to die before the first match. It is terrible for my statistics. He grinned. The absolute lunatic grinned. 3 days later, the tournament began. The arena on Station Omega is not your standard fighting ring. No, that would be too simple. Too boring. Too safe. The arena of Ascension is a living, breathing death trap that reconfigures itself between matches. Gravity shifts. Terrain morphs. Environmental hazards appear and disappear based on the whims of the arena master's control algorithms. The opening ceremony was, as always, spectacular. Lights, music, Dramatic speeches about honor and glory and other things that sound important when you are not the one getting punched in the face. 128 competitors entered, representatives from 43 different species. The prize? 10 million credits and a title that actually means something in the outer colonies. The odds makers had Marcus Trent listed at 5,000 to 1. Not because they thought he might win, but because someone has to be at the bottom of the list, and the human drew the short straw. His first match was against a Thurian blade master named Corax the Undefeated. Terrible name, I know. Very on the nose. Corax had won 37 consecutive matches. He had 4 arms, each holding a different weapon. His exoskeleton could deflect small arms' fire. He moved like water and struck like thunder. Marcus walked into the arena wearing standard-issue combat gear and no enhancements, no special equipment. Just reinforced padding and a look on his face that suggested someone had told him the cafeteria ran out of coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, and assorted other beings, I announced from my booth high above the arena. Our first match of the day features the undefeated Corax the Slayer facing off against Marcus Trent, who is apparently here on a dare. The crowd laughed. They actually laughed. Poor, foolish crowd. The starting bell rang. Corax did his traditional opening move, the intimidation stance. 4 blades raised. A roar that could shatter glass. Very dramatic. Very effective. Usually, Marcus just stood there, watching. Not even in a fighting stance. Just standing there like he was waiting for a bus. Corax charged. This is the part where I should mention something important about humans, something the galaxy really should have paid more attention to. Humans do not have natural armor. They do not have claws or venom or the ability to breathe fire. What they have is pattern recognition that borders on precognition and a stubborn refusal to acknowledge when they are supposed to lose. Corax swung, all 4 blades. A devastating combo that should have ended the fight in seconds. Marcus moved. Not fast. Not like the Velden swarm dancers with their impossible reflexes. He moved efficiently. He moved like someone who had watched Corax fight before and knew exactly where those blades would be. Because, and here is the kicker, he had watched. For 3 days. Marcus Trent had done nothing but watch fight recordings. Every match. Every competitor. Taking notes on a battered datapad like he was studying for an exam. The blades missed. By inches. By millimeters. By margins so thin that half the crowd gasped. And then Marcus punched Corax in what passes for a throat on a Thurian. It was not a powerful punch. Not by arena standards. But it hit exactly the right spot. The soft gap in the exoskeleton armor. The vulnerable point that most fighters protect instinctively. Corax staggered. His eyes went wide. All 6 of them. Did he just? Someone in the crowd asked. He did, someone else confirmed. Marcus did not press the advantage. He stepped back, reset, waited. Corax, now angry instead of confident, attacked again, more aggressive. Less controlled. Exactly what Marcus wanted. 3 minutes later, Corax the Undefeated was on the ground, wheezing, while Marcus stood over him looking vaguely annoyed that it had taken that long. The arena went silent. Completely silent. 20,000 beings holding their collective breath. I found my voice first, because that is what I do. Well, that happened. Marcus Trent advances to round 2. Betting pools are now open, and I suspect odds are about to get very interesting. They did. By the time Marcus fought his second match later that day, his odds had dropped to 1,500 to 1. Still laughable, still insulting, still completely underestimating what was about to happen. His second opponent was a Nexian shock trooper. Big, heavily armored. Could generate electrical fields that would fry most organic beings. Standard strategy was to keep distance, wait for an opening, exploit it with ranged attacks. Marcus walked straight at him. I repeat, straight at him. Is he insane? My co-commentator, a Felixian named Quirk, asked. Yes, I replied. But I am starting to think that is his strategy. The shock trooper activated his field. Blue lightning crackled across his armor. Anything that touched him would get 10,000 volts of bad decisions. Marcus kept walking. Except now he was dragging his feet. Odd. Unnecessary. Wasting energy. Then I saw it. The scorch marks. The rubber from his boot soles melting, creating an insulated layer between him and the ground. Oh. Oh, this clever little disaster. The shock trooper threw a punch. Electrified. Lethal. Lethal. Marcus caught it, with both hands. Through the insulated gloves he had been wearing the whole time. The current had nowhere to go. The trooper was standing on a non-conductive arena floor modification. Marcus was grounded through melted rubber. Basic physics. The kind of basic physics that everyone forgets when they are busy being terrified. The shock trooper tried to pull away. He could not. His own electrical field was locking his arm in place against Marcus's grip. Marcus smiled. Not a nice smile. A smile that said, I have done this before, and I will do it again. Then he headbutted the trooper so hard the armor cracked. The crowd went insane. Actual insanity. Beings were throwing drinks, placing new bets, demanding refunds on old bets. It was glorious chaos. Marcus advanced to round 3. His odds? 500 to 1. I do not understand, Quirk said during the break. How is he winning? His species is weak? Racial. They have no natural weapons. No, I said, watching Marcus in his prep area, calmly eating something that looked suspiciously like a sandwich. They have something better. They have spite. Round 3 came the next day. 32 competitors remained. The arena had shifted overnight. Now it was a multi-level structure with gravity wells and kinetic hazards. Falling was encouraged. Surviving the fall was optional. Marcus drew a bad matchup. A Vorlaxian predator, 12 feet tall, could see in 17 different spectrums, had reflexes that put most computers to shame. The match began. The predator disappeared. Literally, a personal cloaking field. Top-of-the-line military-grade stealth technology. Marcus stood in the center of the arena, not moving, not scanning, just breathing. What is he doing? Quirk asked. Listening, I realized. He is listening. Humans have terrible hearing by galactic standards. But they have something else, something most species do not understand. They can hear the absence of sound. The predator moved, silent, invisible. Deadly. Deadly. Marcus threw dirt. Just grabbed a handful of loose sand from the arena floor and threw it in a wide arc. The cloaking field rippled. The particles clung to the energy field. Suddenly the invisible predator was a predator-shaped outline of floating dust. Are you kidding me? The predator shouted, dropping his cloak. Sorry, Marcus said, not sounding sorry at all. Fair fights are for people with nothing to lose. But the predator charged, fast, faster than most beings could track. Marcus dropped, flat on his back, let the predator sail over him, then grabbed an ankle as it passed. 12 feet of muscle and fury crashed into the arena wall. Marcus walked away while medical teams rushed in. 500 to 1? I announced. Clearly we did not account for weaponized pettiness. His odds dropped to 100 to 1. Tournament officials started watching his matches with concern, not because he was cheating, but because he was making everyone else look bad. Professional fighters with decades of training, elite warriors from military academies, all losing to a human who fought like he learned combat from bar brawls and bad ideas. The quarterfinals arrived. 8 fighters left. The arena reconfigured into something truly nasty, a massive pit with floating platforms. Environmental hazards included acid pools, random gravity surges, and automated defense turrets. Because clearly the murderous competitors were not enough. We needed robots too. Marcus faced off against a Drexian war chief, 7 feet of pure muscle wrapped in ceremonial armor that could deflect blaster fire. The war chief had won 3 previous tournaments. He was favored to win this one. The match started. The war chief did his traditional challenge roar. Very impressive. Very loud. Very tradition-bound. Marcus shot him with one of the automated turrets. Not directly. That would violate the rules. Instead, Marcus had spent the first 30 seconds dodging turret fire while maneuvering the war chief into the perfect position. Then he grabbed a piece of reflective metal from the arena debris and angled it just right. The turret laser bounced off the metal, off a wall panel, off a floating platform, and hit the war chief square in the back. The war chief went down, stunned, confused, possibly reconsidering his entire belief system. Marcus walked over, looked down at him. In my culture, we have a saying, "Work smarter, not harder." That is not fair. Someone in the crowd shouted. That is the point. I yelled back into my microphone. The arena does not care about fair. The arena cares about winners. Marcus advanced to the semifinals. His odds? 20-1. Betting halls across 3 stations were losing their minds. Fortunes were being made. Fortunes were being lost. The galaxy was divided into 2 camps, those who thought Marcus was brilliant, and those who thought he was an insult to competitive combat. I thought he was hilarious. The semifinals were scheduled for the next day. 2 matches. 4 competitors. Only 2 would advance to the final. Marcus drew the worst possible opponent. A Titanfall berserker named Gormath the Destroyer. Because of course his name was Gormath the Destroyer. These guys never have normal names like Dave or Kevin. Gormath stood 9 feet tall. His species was bred for war. Literally bred. Genetic modifications, being chemical enhancements. Neural implants that suppress fear and amplify aggression. He had won 4 tournaments. He had never been knocked down. Not once. In 73 matches. The arena shifted again. This time to a simple flat ground. No hazards, no tricks. Just 2 fighters and a lot of open space. Because apparently someone upstairs decided Marcus had gotten too comfortable with environmental exploitation. This is it, Quirk said quietly. There is no trick here. No clever plan, just strength versus strength. I know, I said. And for the first time since this tournament started, I was genuinely worried. The starting bell rang. Gormath charged. Because of course he did. Subtlety was not in his genetic code. Marcus ran. Not away, toward, but at an angle. Then he slid. Dropped to the ground and slid across the smooth arena floor like he was stealing home base in whatever primitive sport humans play. Gormath's fist hit air. All 9 feet and 400 pounds of momentum carried him forward. Off balance, Marcus popped up behind him, grabbed Gormath's arm, used the berserker's own momentum to redirect him straight into the arena wall. The impact shook the entire stadium. Gormath bounced off the wall, angry, bleeding, but standing. Not bad, little human, he growled. But now I know your tricks. Cool, Marcus replied, breathing hard. I know yours, too. You have 3 tells before you throw a right hook, 2 before a left jab, and you drop your guard by exactly 4 inches when you prepare for a charge. Gormath hesitated, just for a second. But in that second I saw something change in his eyes. Doubt. They fought for 11 more minutes. Marcus could not hurt Gormath. Not really. His punches were like throwing rocks at a mountain. But he could frustrate him, tire him, make him angry. And angry fighters make mistakes. The killing blow came when Gormath, exhausted and furious, attempted a finishing move. A massive overhead smash that would have cratered the arena floor. Marcus stepped inside his guard. Too close for the punch to land properly. Then he did something absolutely unhinged. He grabbed Gormath's head with both hands and headbutted him. Again. The human skull, it turns out, is absurdly thick for a species with no natural armor. Evolutionary necessity from millions of years of falling out of trees and hitting each other with rocks. Gormath the Destroyer, champion of 4 tournaments, undefeated in 73 matches, went down. Marcus stood over him, bleeding, swaying, but standing. "I did not say my species was the strongest," he said loud enough for every microphone to catch. "I said we were the stubbornest. There is a difference." The arena exploded. Not literally, although honestly that might have been less chaotic. Marcus Trent had made it to the finals. His odds going into the championship match? Even money. The 24 hours between the semifinals and the championship match were the longest of my commentating career. And I have commentated matches that lasted 6 hours due to technical malfunctions and one very stubborn Galuvian who refused to admit he was unconscious. Marcus Trent spent those 24 hours doing something completely unexpected. He slept, ate, watched entertainment programs on his datapad, like he had not just defeated the most feared fighter in the outer colonies through sheer audacity and a skull that apparently evolved from granite. His opponent? Oh, you are going to love this, or hate this, depending on which side of the betting pools you landed on. The current reigning champion. The one who had held the title for 3 consecutive tournaments. The fighter who made Gormath the Destroyer look like a friendly neighborhood punching bag. Her name was Valkyra Sharn, a Cytherian battle mistress. Let me explain what that means for those of you fortunate enough to have never encountered one. Cytherians are apex predators from a death world so hostile that their tourism board gave up and just posted warning beacons in orbit. They have natural armor plating, retractable claws that can slice through steel, a nervous system that processes information 3 times faster than most species. And they are born knowing 17 different ways to kill you with their pinky finger. Well, claw, whatever. Valkyra stood 7 feet tall, lean muscle wrapped in black and silver scales that shimmered under arena lights. Her eyes were golden with vertical pupils that tracked movement with unnerving precision. She moved like liquid death, spoke in a voice that sounded like honey mixed with broken glass. And she had never, not once, shown mercy to an opponent. Her record? 48 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 12 knockouts, 36 technical submissions, and 0 fights that lasted longer than 8 minutes. When the championship match was announced, half the galaxy tuned in. Live viewership hit numbers not seen since the grand melee of Sector 7 when that asteroid mining dispute got really out of hand. I stood in my commentary booth, looking down at the arena floor. It had reconfigured one final time. A perfect circle, 200 feet in diameter, reinforced walls rising 30 feet high. No hazards, no tricks, no environmental chaos. Just 2 fighters and destiny having a very aggressive conversation. "This is unprecedented," Quirk said beside me, adjusting his audio feeds. "It's a human in the championship match. Vega Station is reporting that betting has crashed their servers 4 times. 5 times, I corrected, checking my feeds. They just crashed again. Someone put 50,000 credits on Marcus winning by submission. The system could not handle that level of optimism." The arena filled slowly. Every seat taken. Standing room packed beyond legal capacity. Station security had given up trying to enforce fire codes and just stationed extra medical teams on standby. But the pre-match ceremony began. Lights dimmed. Dramatic music swelled. A holographic display showed highlights from both fighters. Valkyra, destroying opponents with casual efficiency, moving like a nightmare given physical form. Never showing emotion, never showing weakness, just cold, calculated dominance. Then Marcus, looking perpetually annoyed, using arena turrets as weapons, headbutting people who probably should not be headbutted, eating a sandwich between rounds like he was on a lunch break. The crowd could not decide whether to cheer or laugh. They did both. Simultaneously. It was beautiful chaos. The fighters entered from opposite sides of the arena. Valkyra wore her traditional battle attire. Minimal armor, mostly ceremonial. She did not need protection, she was protection. Marcus wore the same standard-issue gear he had worn every match, slightly more beat up now, blood-stained in places, but still just basic padding and a look that suggested someone owed him money. They met in the center of the arena, face to face. Well, face to chest. He was a full foot shorter than her. The referee, a neutral Corthan official who looked like he deeply regretted his career choices, stepped between them. Standard championship rules apply, he announced. The match continues until submission, knockout, or death. Environmental resets are disabled. Medical intervention available but constitutes automatic forfeit. Any questions? Just one, Marcus said, looking up at Valkyra. Do you take requests? Because I have some opinions about how this should go. Valkyra smiled. It was not a nice smile. I have fought champions from 37 worlds human. I have defeated master warriors with centuries of training. You are brave to have made it this far. But bravery without strength is just noise before silence. Cool speech, Marcus replied. Did you practice that in a mirror? Because the delivery needs work. Oh, I liked him so much, even knowing he was about to be turned into a cautionary tale about overconfidence. The fighters returned to their corners. The crowd noise built to a roar. 20,000 beings screaming in languages from across the galaxy, all saying the same thing in different ways. This was going to be spectacular. I leaned into my microphone. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted consciousness patterns. The moment we have all been waiting for. 347 cycles of commentary, thousands of matches, hundreds of champions, and never have I seen anything like this. The undefeated Cytherian battle mistress Valkyra, Sharn versus Marcus Trent, the human who apparently learned to fight by annoying people professionally. Place your final bets, say your prayers, and remember that medical insurance only covers 60% of dismemberment. The starting bell rang. Valkyra did not charge, did not attack. She circled. Patient, predatory, analyzing. Marcus stayed in the center, turning to keep her in sight, not attacking either, just watching. This went on for 30 seconds, 40, a full minute. The crowd grew restless. They came for action, for violence, for someone to get dramatically punched in the face. Are they going to fight? Someone shouted. They are fighting, I said into my microphone. It's just not the way you think. Right now, this is a mental battle, each waiting for the other to make the first mistake, which, given human impatience, should happen in 3, 2. Marcus attacked. A straight charge, predictable, obvious. Valkyra moved to counter. Perfect form, textbook response. Marcus dropped at the last second, slid under her strike, hopped up behind her, grabbed her tail. Yes, her tail. The one part of Cytherian anatomy that is sacred, ceremonial. Absolutely not supposed to be grabbed by an opponent during formal combat. The entire arena gasped, including me, all 4 of my mouths. Valkyra spun, faster than thought, her claws extended. Her eyes blazed with something between fury and disbelief. Marcus had already let go, already backed away, hands raised in mock surrender. Sorry, he said, not sounding sorry at all. I am not great with cultural sensitivities. My bad. You dare? Valkyra hissed. Her voice had gone from honey and broken glass to just broken glass. Sharp, dangerous, lethal. I dare a lot of things, Marcus replied. It is kind of my whole deal, she attacked. Finally, completely, all that cold calculation replaced by hot anger, which was exactly what Marcus wanted. See, here is something the galaxy consistently underestimates about humans. They are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the smartest, despite what they tell themselves after 2 drinks. but they are absolutely the best at making you angry enough to forget your training. Valkyra was brilliant, skilled beyond measure, but she was also prideful. And pride plus anger equals mistakes. She came at him with a combination strike that should have ended the fight. Should have ended him. Claws extended, moving at speeds that bent light. Marcus threw dirt in her face. Again with the dirt. This absolute maniac's signature move was apparently pocket sand. Valkyra stumbled. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Marcus hit her. Not hard. Not in any vital area. Just a quick jab to her center mass. Testing. Her armor plating held. Obviously, his fist probably hurt more than her scales did. But now he knew. Now he had data. They separated. Circled again. This time Valkyra was not patient. She was calculating. Adjusting. Realizing that traditional tactics were not going to work. "You cannot win," she said. "You are too weak, too slow, too fragile." Probably, Marcus agreed. But here is the thing about humans. We do not need to be stronger. We just need to be more annoying than you are patient. Annoyance does not win championships. No, but stubbornness does. They clashed again. This time Valkyra was ready for tricks. She did not overextend, did not fall for feints. She fought with cold precision, each strike calculated, each movement efficient. Marcus fought like a brawler who learned technique from watching videos at half speed. Messy, unrefined, but effective in ways that made no tactical sense. He took hits. Several. Claws raked across his armor, drew blood, left marks. But nothing critical. Nothing that stopped him. Because here is another thing about humans. Their pain tolerance is insane. Not because they do not feel pain, but because they can acknowledge pain exists and then decide to ignore it anyway. 3 minutes in, Marcus was bleeding from a dozen small cuts. Valkyra was untouched. Perfect, pristine. 5 minutes in, Marcus was limping, breathing hard, clearly exhausted. Valkyra showed no signs of fatigue. 7 minutes in, the match hit the average duration of all Valkyra's previous victories. The crowd started to murmur. This was taking too long. Something was wrong. Valkyra realized it too. She should have won already. Should have ended this. But the human kept moving. He kept fighting. Kept existing despite all evidence suggesting he should be unconscious. "Why will you not fall?" she demanded, frustration bleeding into her voice. "Because," Marcus said between gasps for air, "I promised myself I would buy a really nice ship with the prize money, and I really, really want that ship." It was such a stupid reason, such a human reason, fighting through impossible odds because of material desire and spite. I loved it. 9 minutes in, Valkyra made her mistake. A tiny one. She hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second, questioning whether her strategy was working, whether she needed to change tactics. Marcus saw it. That moment of doubt, that crack in her perfection. He changed his entire fighting style, stopped being defensive, stopped trying to survive, started attacking like he had nothing to lose, because he did not. He was already supposed to be dead. Anything after this was borrowed time. He went for her knees, not her head, not her body, her knees, the joints in her armor. The weak points that most fighters protect instinctively but forget about when they are distracted. Valkyra blocked, countered. But she was confused now. Humans do not attack like this, do not sacrifice their own safety for minor advantages. Except this human did. Marcus took a claw strike across his ribs, felt bones crack, kept moving. Grabbed Valkyra's arm, used it as leverage to swing himself around, locked his legs around her neck. It was the sloppiest submission attempt I have ever seen. It should not have worked. It violated at least 3 principles of proper grappling technique. But Valkyra was off balance, surprised, dealing with 200 pounds of determined human clinging to her like a very aggressive backpack. They went down, rolled. Marcus held on, his legs locked around her throat, not choking. He was not strong enough for that, but restricting, making it hard to breathe, hard to focus. Valkyra tried to pry him off. Her strength should have been more than enough. But Marcus had grabbed her arms. His grip was not strong, but it was positioned perfectly. Every time she tried to pull him off, she gave him more leverage. It was beautiful, terrible, completely insane, but beautiful. 12 minutes in, Valkyra started to slow. Not much, but enough. The reduced oxygen, the exhaustion, the sheer confusion of being outmaneuvered by someone she should have crushed. 14 minutes in, I realized Marcus might actually win. The thought was absurd, impossible. But possible in that uniquely human way where impossible just means no one has been stupid enough to try yet. 16 minutes in, Valkyra's movements became sluggish. Her eyes lost focus. She was fading. Marcus held on, blood running down his face, bones broken, muscles screaming, but holding on. "Tap out," he said, quiet, almost gentle. "You can tap out. There is no shame in it. You are the better fighter. Everyone knows it, but today I am more stubborn." Valkyra tried one more time to break free. Her hand moved, slow, reluctant. She tapped the arena floor 3 times. The referee called it submission. Winner by submission, Marcus Trent. The arena went silent. Completely, utterly silent. Then it erupted. Noise beyond description. Cheering. Screaming. Half the crowd celebrating. Half demanding recounts. All of them losing their minds. Marcus let go, rolled off Valkyra, lay on his back. Breathing. Just breathing. Valkyra sat up slowly, looked at him, looked at her hand that had just tapped out, looked back at him. "How?" she asked. "I watched all your fights," Marcus said, still flat on his back. 48 matches. You are perfect, absolutely perfect. But perfection has a weakness. It expects perfection, and I am about as far from perfect as biology allows. She stood, offered him a hand. He took it, let her pull him to his feet. They stood there, champion and victor, predator and prey, except the labels no longer fit. "You did not fight with honor," Valkyra said. "No," Marcus agreed. "I fought to win." "There is a difference." She smiled. A real smile this time. "My people have a saying. Strength breaks, skill bends, but stubbornness endures. Your people sound exhausting." "We are." "You would fit right in." The awards ceremony was a blur. Trophy presentation, credit transfer, speeches about valor and determination and whatever else sounds good in front of cameras. Marcus stood on the winner's platform, bloody, bruised, looking like he had been in a fight with the industrial shredder and barely won. He waved at the crowd, a small, tired wave. They loved him. Later, after the crowds dispersed and medical teams had patched him up with enough bandages to wrap a small spacecraft, I found Marcus in the station bar, drinking something that looked suspiciously alcoholic and definitely not recommended for beings with internal injuries. "Quite the performance," I said, sliding onto the stool beside him. "Thanks. I try not to die publicly. It is embarrassing. The odds were 5,000 to 1 when you started." "I know. I bet on myself. Made a stupid amount of money." Of course he did. Of course the absolute madman bet on himself. "So what now?" I asked. "Defend your title next cycle? Become a legend? Start a training academy teaching people how to weaponize pettiness?" Marcus took a long drink, winced, probably from the broken ribs, not the alcohol, though possibly both. "Now? I buy my ship, maybe explore a bit, Find some quiet corner of the galaxy where people do not try to kill me for entertainment. You realize you are famous now. The human who beat a Cytherean battle mistress. The underdog who defied all odds. You cannot just disappear. Watch me. Yea. He finished his drink. Stood. Winced again. Definitely the ribs this time. Hey, Klaxon. Whack. Whoa. Yes? Yes? Thanks for the commentary. It was hilarious. Especially the part where you said I would die in the preliminary rounds. To be fair, you should have. Yeah, probably. But should have and did are two very different things. He left. Limped out of that bar like he had somewhere important to be. Probably bed. Definitely bed. I sat there, thinking. Replaying the matches in my head, analyzing what I had just witnessed. The 347 cycles of commentary, thousands of fighters, hundreds of champions, all following the same pattern. The strongest win, the fastest dominate, the most skilled prevail. And then a human shows up, weak by galactic standards, slow by competitive measures, fighting with technique that barely qualifies as technique, and wins through sheer stubborn refusal to acknowledge reality. It should not work. It defies every principle of combat sports, every rule of physical competition, every law of common sense, but it did work. Because humans do not follow those rules. They follow their own rules. And their rules say that giving up is optional, pain is temporary, and winning is mostly about being too stubborn to realize you are supposed to lose. The galaxy learned something that cycle, something important. Something we should probably have noticed earlier given how humans have spread across the colonies. You do not beat a human by being stronger. You do not beat them by being faster. You do not even beat them by being smarter. You beat them by being more stubborn than they are. And good luck with that. I finished my own drink, paid the tab, headed back to my quarters to start preparing for next cycle's tournament. Because there will always be another tournament, another champion, another underdog story. But there will never be another Marcus Trent, the human who won through stubbornness, who fought like someone who learned combat from bar fights and bad decisions, who made 5,000 to 1 odds look generous. The galaxy is a big place, filled with wonders and terrors and everything in between. Species rise, species fall, empires expand, empires collapse. But somewhere out there, flying a ship bought with championship credits, is a human who decided the rules did not apply to him, and then proved it, in front of 20,000 witnesses, with broken bones and terrible technique and a personality made entirely of determination and spite. The champion was built from steel, the human from stubbornness. And honestly, I think stubbornness is more dangerous.